Welcome. Thanks for watching our show. As you know, this is live TV. We're not acting or anything. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 everywhere in the area, from Nemacolin up to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between, including the city of Pittsburgh. Let us know if you can't watch us. We're trying to track down some of that and keep records of it, so thank you. Comcast 7 only in Bethel Park. Appreciate all the viewers here in Bethel watching our show on Comcast. And then thanks, Jim J always waits for a world record. Well, we just jumped up by 2. 4,621 likes. That's our highest number we've had yet on likes. Thank you. Keep asking us to like your pages. You like ours, we'll definitely like yours. Well, you know how I am, but Smoking Jim will like them for sure. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner next to me. Smoking Jim Frazier, there we go. And Zach Brenner. For our traffic report, everybody made it on time. And I do got to show this promo first. How was that pizza, guys? All except for Chip.
Good.
Shout out to Stephanie. Keep feeding them like a king. That's one extra slice for me. I'm up to 2 slices now. Olive Oil's Pizza. Rhea. 412-831-1900. Ryan, thanks a lot for the extra pepperoni for my guys. They were very appreciative of that. They couldn't believe I didn't have a plain piece, though, so that's how they operate. All right, we start our show with what's on your mind, and we're going to do that right now. We got Devin Shea that come right in. I don't know if he's assisting the Tiger.
I don't know. He's got a beard going too, guys.
You should have seen him yesterday when I saw him with sunglasses and a terrorist hat on. So,
Hey,
all for BPTV.
now that he's out of that Nicaraguan heat, he can grow a little facial hair.
El Salvador.
El
Out of where?
Hey,
Out of where?
Somewhere where it's warm.
All right, we better start this show. Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Levine, the talking machine. It's always, if you want the green, you got to go see Levine.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Good
In
hands.
this case, there's my option pass from my non-quarterback option days. I was strictly on the line. I was forbidden from
You know
doing
what?
anything other than try to maul the man in front of me.
You're just like one of those Steelers. Stealers. You're stealing his best line.
But I want to, I'm going to bring up a great point tonight, folks.
When?
And even though I'm sure some of my colleagues to my right are going to argue about contracts, except the ones that come from the hood, I want to bring up something that didn't have to go to CMU to understand. Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, has 1 year left on his contract. So he's due to make $1.25 million this upcoming season. But the kicker is, folks, with all the new contracts that have been signed around the league for all the other elite quarterbacks, some who don't have any Super Bowl rings, mind you, Russell Wilson, his agent, put out a letter to the Seahawks, basically stating the same thing that I'm telling you folks, that, hey, Cam Newton just got a deal. How does Cam Newton get a deal when he hasn't won anything? You know what I mean? Nothing. Absolutely won nothing in the NFL so far, other than a whole bunch of injuries. But what it boils down to with numbers, folks, is still on this for a minute. The kid is slated, like I said, to make $1.25 million with the last year of his contract. He is under contract. I get that. I understand that. But just keep this in mind for any of you, who may ever have a son or a kid or a child or anything like that. He will be able to make $20 million in 2016 with a franchise tag. $20 million. So is it worth to play this contract out for 1.25 and risk getting injured and never getting to make that $20 million, which you've earned fair and square by putting it out there? The Seahawks wouldn't be anything. Why they passed the ball on the goal line, I'll never know. But Russell Wilson's worth the money. Pay up, Seattle, and that's what's on my mind.
Zach, that was a good point. And all I have to say to
We'll
you
see.
is it's called CBA. If you believe in them and you sign them, you got to fulfill them.
And darn well, if that was Drew we're talking about, we'd be on the line trying to shake somebody off a balcony, trying to get that $20 million and not pay for that 1.25. Who are you kidding, Levine?
No.
Who are you kidding, man? We'll be set for life with that $20 million.
No.
Okay.
Here's what you do.
Honest Al.
Here's what you do. The Honest Al way to honor the CBA. Go to Lloyd's of London, take out a policy on your son, Russell Wilson, for $20 million at least. If that's what you believe he should get next year, or that's what the franchise tag is, you might only pay $20,000 for it.
It's probably already been done.
Well, actually,
That's what they do.
The tag is probably rumored to be around 23 or 24 million, but I'm just sticking to
Why
it
quibble
right now.
about another
And you know what?
10,000? So.
Which kind of speaks to, well, maybe he should have played baseball.
All right, let's move on. We didn't want to have the discussion on your point, but you were throwing it out there. It was such an egregious remark about not honoring a CBA. So we'll have to move forward. Smoking Jim Frazier, I've already thrown one, but what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. Hey, I want to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Peyton Brooks. Just graduated last week
From where?
the great Bethel Park High School, one of my favorite high schools in the area. So big
he's here
hand.
right now.
And she graduated with honors. Big hand for Peyton and all the graduates, not only at Bethel Park, but all around southwestern Pennsylvania. Congratulations.
Even the homeschool?
He assumes they don't graduate.
This is going to be a great show. I like the way this one started.
We're heading downhill in a hurry, aren't we?
But what's on my mind is I got to give it up for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are showing the heart of the champions.
Boy, are you sucking up to everybody possible.
And, Cleveland is basically playing Al Levine, the talking machine, with just 7 players. And, and they really should be in the series up 2-0. The series is tied 1-1. It's the first series in NBA history. First 2 games went into overtime. However, the longer that the series goes, the series will benefit Golden State because they're a very, very deep team. And Golden State, you'll look for, if it goes long, look for Cleveland to begin to wear down and tire out. And LeBron James even played last game 50 minutes. And he said he really doesn't like to play more than 42 minutes a game. So, Golden State will still get the chip
There's Chip.
in the end, and that's what's on my mind.
Good man.
Man,
We're not.
We gotta
going to discuss
revisit.
that. No, there's not even revisit. There's a new segment called NBA Playoffs. So we'll get that
Playoffs? Playoffs?
because they made it. It just got invented. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial. Chip, what's on your mind?
Wow, thank you, Alan. What's on my mind this evening is an incident that happened in the world of Major League Baseball this past weekend, which struck up a lot of controversy and conversation that I heard on the airwaves yesterday. And I'd just like to kind of touch base on it very briefly and give my humble opinion about what I think.
It has
But
to be
this weekend, at a Boston Red Sox game, an incident happened where the batter took a swing at a ball, and the bat shattered, and the fat end of the bat flew into the crowd, and it hit a spectator in the head and severely injured the woman. And they said she was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. And thank God she is going to pull through. She's been downgraded to fair condition, which is good for her and her family, and she's had to undergo surgery, and I hope her recovery goes well. And that begs the opinion of some people to say that now that the owners need to do something to better protect the fans at baseball games. And I did some looking into the history of baseball, and I'm a student of the history of baseball. And since 1887. there have been 52 fatalities of fans watching baseball games. So since 1887, it's 130 some years, almost 140 years. Fans do get injured at baseball games. I mean, you're at a baseball game, baseballs are being thrown at close to 100 miles an hour. They're being hit by bats coming off the bat at over 100 miles an hour. Accidents happen. The last time that there was a fatality at a baseball game was, I believe, in 1970. So here we are 45 years later, and somebody gets injured and people are crying out, it's the owner's responsibility to better protect the fans. And I beg to differ on that point of view, because I think that the owners and everybody else has done everything they can to make the game as safe as it can be. When you go and buy a ticket to a baseball game and you are sitting down along the field, it is, you're assuming a risk that, you need to pay attention. And I'm not saying that the woman that got hit by the bat wasn't paying attention. I mean, that bat split, it shattered, it flew in there, and, what happened was it was a tragic accident, but an accident nonetheless. And you know what? It's more likely for somebody to get hit crossing the street than it is to be injured at a baseball game. So why all of a sudden is there an uproar for people, we got to put up netting, we got to put up shields and everything else? I don't think anything needs to be done other than what has already been done. They make public service announcements. You know that when you go to the game, you need to pay attention to what's going on in the field. You can't be talking to the person next to you. You can't be scrolling around on your phone, looking on Facebook.
At least when they're batting.
Well, at least while the game's in play. In between innings, whatever you want to do is fair game. But, you need to pay attention when the game is in progress. And, I think all this hubbub and there was a comment made that in the last two CBAs that the players asked that netting be put up all around the field, and the owners voted it down. So somehow that makes the owners complicit in the fact that people are getting hurt. And I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I think that's just a bunch of BS to even bring that up. But, personally myself, don't change the way things are being done. When you go to a baseball game, pay attention. Unfortunately, people do get injured at baseball games, but a lot more people get injured doing things that you do every day that you take really no thought of. So if it's up to me, keep it the way it is. That's my opinion.
Hard to pay attention when you're bored.
Well, Smoking Jim Frazier didn't stay long enough to see a broken back.
And Matt No-Show Harkins, who's starting to show up more, he just reported that a fan was trying to catch a ball when Josh Hamilton hit it and fell and died. But some of that's based on there are safety issues. You shouldn't go over the railing to get baseball.
That fan fell over a railing, but that was not being hit by a ball. That was the fan's let's say overzealousness. I don't want to speak badly of the dearly departed.
Yeah, I never want to put the blame on the spectator, but it's Chip, I don't know where you sit at PNC Park, but I'm pretty sure you're not in the line of fire for the most part.
I have sat in every section in the park, and I do enjoy sitting down by the field at times. I do enjoy sitting up in the 300 section. I enjoy the view from up there. I watching the game develop. I have no qualms with sitting anywhere. And as a matter of fact, I've been into minor league baseball parks where you're 20 feet away from the batter. Mm-hmm. And if you really are not paying attention there, it could get interesting. Mm-hmm. The major league parks, I think they've done everything that they can to assure fans' safety. And
when you do sit in the line of fire, down in the bottom in the lower section, have you ever said to Stephanie like, "Hey, we're down here.
Yes,
it's
I
live."
have, and I put myself between her and the batter. Okay, so if the ball comes, I played ball. I have better reactions. That I'm going to keep it from hitting her. But yes, I tell her, don't be talking to the person next to you. You need to be paying attention. I absolutely have said that to her, no question.
It's hard to do at a baseball game. People are so bored.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever. The fans never get hurt at football games.
He's trying to get it right.
Unless they run on the field. James Harrison's
I'll
playing.
put it out as a disclaimer. I learned in this new era of social media, there's haters. And when they keep trying to talk about how boring the great national pastime of baseball is, they're true haters. You don't have
Chip,
So
there's a lot
what?
of people that are reading books. They're doing anything but watching the baseball game.
Which begs me to ask the question, what are you doing at a baseball game if you're reading them? If I want to read a book, I'm not going to go through the hassle of parking downtown, walking across the bridge, paying all that money to get in there, paying,
Chip, I asked somebody, because I was out in left field behind.
That's not the first time in your life.
Notice how I served that up to them.
Don't lob, that's a softball.
Wasn't that easy? No, that always helps. 'Cause you can't always have the answers for these guys. But as I was way out in left field, 4 rows behind Marte, I noticed back a few rows, there's a lady, and said she was smoking Jim's 3rd grade school teacher. I didn't check it out, but she was reading War and Peace. So now
Tolstoy? Why not?
and Smoking Jim thinks that's only on TV. But I asked her, I go, I love baseball, and even these seats out here, there's not always a lot of action with baseballs coming out here, but Marte would throw a baseball and not hit somebody in the head, and they were happy they got a baseball. So I go, why are you reading a book? She goes, oh, I enjoy the atmosphere here, and I love baseball. So how could I argue with her when she was your school teacher?
But to be partial, how can you love the atmosphere and truly love the game if you're more worried about reading a book than paying attention
She
to
wasn't worried about reading a book. When they hit a ball or something happened, she looked up and cheered. Because I wondered what happened too.
Oh, man. You don't get that at a football game, man. Come try that stuff at Heinz Field on a Sunday.
And here's what I would say. Why would somebody that loves baseball want to go to a football game where people are so drunk they're falling on top of them? They're swearing like there's no tomorrow. And you have kids around and they go, could you at least contain that? And people start swearing back at them. So you guys...
We
I
never
guess,
said it was a wholesome family atmosphere, and that's a disclaimer for Heinz Field and the Steelers. You know those guys are tailgating all since last night or the night, a week before the game.
well,
Nobody said that was a family atmosphere. PNC Park and baseball is a more family-friendly atmosphere.
Differ with you on that point.
Yeah, they're trying.
Look how much money it costs per ticket, though, Chip. Imagine having a family of 4 and trying to go to a Steeler game. Whew.
Try going to a Penguin game with a family of 4.
That too, so that you can see
with
why
2
the
people.
Buccos are a huge hit.
Well, I'm glad we solved all these issues. Not at all. And I'm glad we all disagreed on almost every point. And
Except
you could call in on
baseball.
412-831-3304. And I'll try to get what's on my mind if I can try to get past some of the things we talked about before the show and as we got into this discussion. But first, I want to make the last announcement for the stainless steel Weber grill. Thanks to Handy Andy
It was fixed.
of EV Hardware. And thank you to all of the people in the area that bought tickets off me and the other people. Devin Shea actually believes he sold the winning ticket. And it's the Smokin' Jim's best friend and our photographer of Pittsburgh Sportsline when he's there, Bill Boyce. So congratulations for buying those extra tickets off of Devin. I think that put him over the top. Chip was counting his winnings until the last time Devin said, I got 40 more tickets. And people started buying.
Congratulations, Bill. Best to you, buddy.
And thanks to everybody that did buy it. There was over $1,100 collected.
Awesome.
So, and thanks to Handy Andy for doing that from EV Hardware. We appreciate it.
Good cause.
So, and it'll help our scholarship fund in Bethel Park. So that's a good thing. We had a guest who's a friend of mine, Sauna. And if you need anybody in sports to be able to relax, to focus more on their sport, even though you think you're the greatest, give her a call, 412-344-2272. She explained some things to us. And good luck to her young, client who is now out there competing in the NCAA pole vault championship. Good luck to Dave out there. We found out about him. She's actually Skyping with him, and he's progressed so far. He overcame a sciatica problem. So she's a good person to get a hold of. Lives right in Mount Lebanon. So then I found out I'll find out more details about this if you can pull up a close-up. This is a friend of hers. that's helping veterans that maybe are suffering from different maladies when they come back home, and they're helping to get them in a healthier mode there too. So another good cause. Thanks, John. You didn't have to get my face in this if you know. You could have just focused on that. But thank you for all of my fans there as you get the talking head there. Now let's see. I was going to talk horse racing. We could talk about it later, but I gloat a little bit, Chip. When I pick a winner.
Yeah, know what? I put you on the spot, man. You came through.
Yeah, and I had been saying that after the Kentucky Derby, so it's no problem. I told the story last night. I'm not going to repeat it, except that we were at the MMA fights, and I had to watch it on a replay. So
hey, whose fault was that?
The driver.
Whose fault was that?
Now the truth comes out. The driver
that
was on 528 stayed on 528 North.
I almost fought Chris Dempsey because he was getting annoyed. Like, what the heck is wrong with him? I'm like, Levine, come here, Levine. They're going down the stretch. I'm jumping up and down. I'm yelling like, come here. And he just keeps talking. Smoking Jim.
Why
You
did you
suck.
call me? I could have got you right
No.
where you needed to be.
I printed it out. Here's how easy it was. Going up to Butler, 528 North, 68 East.
You saw
when
those
68
times,
East goes
68
straight
Did
up.
you?
I
No.
said 68 East is right there.
Yeah.
He goes 528
That looked like
North.
a regular street town in a regular town. It didn't look
And
like
then he has the nerve to tell me, I go, it looks like we're circling around. He goes, we're not circling around. Then
We drove through
68
a
appears.
cornfield. We drove through a farm to get back on 68.
Zach, when you're driving your vehicle and the sun is on one side of your face, and as you're driving and it circles around to the other side of your face, you're driving around in circles.
So anyhow, I wanted to report a little on the MMA fights because we want to thank Gladiators of the Cage. Thanks for the great time we had. A lot of great fights. I think there was only one decision that was made, and people were getting knocked out, and submissions and everything else. It was just a great night of fights. Met some new guys that are fighters. We may have a guest. Damien may come out, so it'd be nice to have him.
I think it was the first time out, Levine, where the amateur cage fights were actually 10 times better than the pro fights.
Well, we're not even gonna. We're trying to talk positive because I have to agree with you on that. But the ones that were very good fights, and the ones that we expected a lot, we didn't see too much. But hey, that's how boxing, MMA, and a lot of sports are. Sometimes you're disappointed, but we appreciate. I like the long journey. Thanks, Zach Brenner. It was no problem. I did like to see the replay and got to hear the discussion. He pulled out the nice TV there, so to combine sports, horse racing, and whatever else. And thanks to Jason, the Whip Willett. He goes, would you guys like a slice of pizza? Because I bought you one. You never saw three guys move faster to get a slice of pizza that was about double the normal size.
He asked me, he said, hey, you think Al Levine is smoking Jim? I'm going to get a pizza. And I was like, I think they'll eat a piece of pizza. And it went without saying.
Again, thanks to Zach. Who would think he took care of us on the ride, took care of us on the pizza, and he pointed me to the screen so I could see American Pharaoh. And that's what's on my mind. Thank you. All right, let's get to our segments. My favorite segment of the night so far will be Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. That may be a record for what's on your mind, almost 30 minutes. But
No, it's not.
it's not a record, almost close.
We actually went 49 minutes one time.
Oh, what's on your mind?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Night Al and I did the show. We did it for 6
Uh,
minutes. Neither of us shut up.
I think we went to 62 minutes because we were still talking when it was over.
But I'm happy. I'm happy for Bill Boyce, and a little sad in a little ways, Bill,
Why?
because going up, Lil Z almost hit a deer, and that would have looked good on the grill.
That's a story.
What a way to break the grill in.
That was a great way to start the show.
But with,
How far back did you guys come out with that?
but what's on? But the fiction and fact for Smoking Jim's Almanac, we're going all the way back to 1996. Johnny Majors was in his last year coaching the University of Pittsburgh football team, and I tell you what, Pitt's program was down in '96. it was down so bad that there was a Kogo's on 51 that if you bought 2 liters of Coke, you got 2 free tickets to any Pitt game.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so that's where I used to get my tickets back then for the Pitt game. And I tell you what, the season opener was at home. It was at Pitt Stadium, was still around at that time. And they opened up on national TV on a night game against West Virginia University as a sellout crowd. I was sitting in the end zone with my 2 liters of Coke. And I tell you what, the first quarter ended in a 0-0 tie. Pitt was playing their heart out, and West Virginia put an unknown freshman running back in the game. They had the ball at the 4-yard line. He went 96 yards on his first carry for a touchdown. They ended up beating Pitt 34-0. 2 weeks later, this unknown rookie running back ran for 240 yards against Notre Dame, and most people know him, and Chip called it famous Amos Zairway jumped on the scene. And that's my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
See how I didn't steal your thunder?
All right, well.
You kept quiet there.
Yep.
Another new record on Bethel
Yeah,
Park
I'm telling you what.
TV.
Tonight is just another night of firsts.
And there's no full moon out. I checked.
I'll tell you what, Olivine, Smoking Jim is all behind Pitt, man. Pitt is it.
Well, you know what? I have to do some research on this because I'm investigating. And I think there's a sweetie involved in it that goes to Pitt.
There's something.
I'm not sure yet.
There's
I will
something.
get to the bottom of this because
Mr. Briggs.
Never.
I know it's not the Clareton. I know it's not Mr. Boyd that's got him enamored.
He wore that welcome out, but never we had on Pittsburgh Sportsline 2 nights in a row with Smoking Jim talking about how great Pitt is. Pitt is it. And Chip, I want you to, don't be shocked, but he said they're going to win the national championship.
I'll rewrite there.
He said a panther over the tide, over a duck.
You know what? I was writing down what he was talking about, and I think he missed the mascot.
Hey, Roger Houston, real quick, folks, before we go to Chip's Trivia. Roger Houston, legendary Meadows track announcer, was listening to Smoking Jim's What's on His Mind, and he turns to me and he says, "Hey Zach," he said, "I like Pitt, but I'm not going that far." I said, "I'm with you, Roger."
They say if you're going to go all the way.
Yeah, but Smoking Jim, by the time the season comes around, guess what? That's going to be I just hope I find out there's a sweetie involved. That's what I'm hoping. I'm digging deep right now, so any of you sweeties that know what's going on here, 412-831-3304. I want to get to the bottom of this. Chip, the Prophet Hayner, let's hear trivia time.
Let's hear some trivia time. I'm going to go in 2 directions with my trivia tonight. First, I'm going to little baseball because you know my love for the game, and also I'm going to go in a different direction on the second part of it. So let's get it started. Today, in 1914, Honus Wagner became the second player in Major League Baseball history to have 3,000 base hits.
He was a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Also, we'd like to wish a happy birthday to a former Pirate MVP, the Cobra Dave Parker. It's his birthday today. And Ken Griffey Jr. on this date in, I lost the date, but he became the 6th player to hit 600 home runs in Major League Baseball history. So now that's getting me on to a quick some baseball trivia I found interesting. On June the 5th, 1974, Cleveland Indians had 9 base runners against the Texas Rangers, and all 9 scored in a 9-3 victory. Doesn't sound too impressive, right? Yeah. It was the last time this happened in the 20th century. That was on June 5th, 1974. Wow. Cincinnati's Ken Griffey Jr. homered twice at the new Busch Stadium in 2006 on June 5th to tie Fred McGriff's Major League record of connecting in 43 different stadiums in his Major League Baseball career.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Atlanta's Chipper Jones became the 3rd switch hitter in baseball history to hit 400 career home runs. The first one was Mickey Mantle, the greatest switch hitter of all time, and Eddie Murray of the Baltimore Orioles. And Jamie Moyer pitched a 7-hitter to help the Phillies break out of an offensive slump. It was the 47-year-old left-hander's second complete game that season, 33rd for a career that began in 1986. He also joined Phil Niekro with 121, Jack Quinn with 103, the only other pitchers to win 100 games after the age of 40. Pretty impressive thing. But here's my little surprise for the week. Alan was talking about horse racing. And last week, for the first time in 37 years, we saw a Triple Crown won by a thoroughbred racing horse. American Pharoah won the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes. And that got me looking up some things. And I was looking back, and I could name like the last 3 Triple Crown winners, but now there are 12 horses that have won the Triple Crown. American Pharoah had done it in 2015. Affirmed was the last horse to win it in 1978. 1977, Seattle Slew won the Triple Crown, and one of the greatest horses of all time won the Triple Crown in 1973, and that was Secretariat. Before 1973, the previous Triple Crown was won in 1948 by Citation. 1946, a horse named Assault won the Triple Crown. 1943, Count Fleet won the Triple Crown. In 1941, Whirlaway won the Triple Crown. War Admiral won the Triple Crown in 1937. Omaha won the Triple Crown in 1935. Gallant Fox won the Triple Crown in 1930, and the very first horse to win the Triple Crown in 1916, Sir Barton. So that's a list of our 12 Triple Crown winners in thoroughbred racing history. Hope I didn't steal any of your thunder, Al, but I thought that
not
was...
on the history, but I could give you a couple things like Sir Barton. They were foundation thoroughbreds. A lot of their sons and daughters raced. Most of them are bred after that. The first couple winners, just so you know, it really wasn't that big to do about the races at that time. So there wasn't as much interest. And by the time War Admiral and the rest come around, everybody remembers Seabiscuit in the movie against War Admiral. So even some of the best, well, anybody that would be aware of TV, radio, movies,
and then
books.
Then you had a couple here that happened right in the heart of World War II, and people's main concern was their loved ones putting their lives on the line, and they weren't really as concerned about horse racing.
But it is a rare thing, and they did go a lot of years. A lot of people think it's a conspiracy that the last 37 they changed some of the rules. Look at, you go 20-some years plus with some of the other horses.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. You know, I'm a historian of the horses.
And, you watch the race on Saturday, and American Pharoah legitimately won that race, and it won it going away. I mean, it was putting distance between
that was the 6th fastest time, too.
Yeah.
So that adds a little more legitimacy to it.
I sent Alan a message on Facebook. As soon as that race got done, I was like, wow, can this horse run? And it really could. I mean, it did. It just outran everybody, and there's no question of...
Not as fast as Secretariat,
No.
right?
No, Secretariat was...
Secretariat's going to go down as the all-time greatest horse ever.
31 and a half lengths. It won by...
31 and a half lengths?
Yes.
Yeah. You should watch a replay. You can Google that.
But you might have to pay attention for 2.5 minutes.
In your case, just go. No, here's what to do, Smoking Jim. Just go past the halfway mark in the race. You only need about 40 seconds or so.
Well, funny story. As we made our way out of the woods in Butler back to the city of Pittsburgh.
This isn't a funny story for animal lovers.
Me and Al Levine. I'm not talking about the on the way up. I said as we made our way back to the city of Pittsburgh.
I fell asleep with
Al Levine is, he's talking. It's late or whatever. It was a long day, and he says something to Smoking Jim, and there's no response from the back, from the cockpit in the back. And Al just kept talking, and I said, today I said, I think Smoking Jim might have been asleep when you said something on the way out, whatever. He said, I think you were right.
I said, I know that. He was resting his eyes at that time.
But
as he rode in the back seat.
Not to upset the PETA people, but on the way up, we're going on 279, and I happen to see on the other lane, I see a white-tailed deer coming across, the 4-lane highway. I said, guys, this is coming. This is coming right our way. It's coming. Like I'm gonna hit this thing. Well, I let off. Levine sees me let off. I back off just enough, folks, to let the deer run past me and hit into the car next to us.
Since you're telling people our road trip, I go, you better not hit the deer. You could see him a half a mile away. He would run right into us if you kept your same speed. When you slowed down, it was enough to hit him. You slowed down a little more. So I give you credit there. I'm glad I was in the vehicle with him. So we did make it one piece. Chip, thanks for your trivia time.
Thank you, Alan.
Now, it's Z time. Who knows where he'll go now with Z time? He's been Googling and writing like nobody's business, and his pizza's getting cold, so he's ready to take another bite out of it. Thanks, Olive Oil's Pizzeria.
In due time, that pizza will be going on. That's a magic trick.
Right now.
That's a magic trick. But on Z time tonight, folks, I'm a little bit miffed about what's taking place over in Cleveland. As Smoking Jim alluded to, there's 7 men on in the rotation for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But on that bench, there's some champions on that bench. Kendall Perkins is on that bench. He would be a perfect prime example of somebody that I would get in there. Sean Marion hasn't seen the light of day. He's buried on that bench, Smoking Jim. So there are there's some talent. There is a little bit of depth. But right now, for all intents and purposes, folks, it is LeBron James versus the Golden State Warriors. That's why LeBron James had to play 50-plus minutes, because as soon as he sits down, forget about it. And I tell you what, Smoking Jim, J.R. Smith, I know you don't watch Pittsburgh Sportsline, but you should. You single-handedly almost blew that game. It was the referees and J.R. Smith and the Golden State versus LeBron on Sunday night. But I look for LeBron to just go off. I mean, we haven't seen anything like this in my 31 years on earth. The man is just a physical specimen. He's a freak of nature. He could play point guard. He could play any position that you want to play on the court. But right now, for the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the NBA championship, LeBron James is going to have to single-handedly take this team on his back and do things that that he hasn't done in a while since he was down in Miami. He does not have the supporting cast right now, folks. Kyrie Irving going down was a huge blow. Love being out is a huge blow. Kevin Love. So like LeBron said, I don't know too many teams that could take out 2 superstars, bona fide superstars, and you still got LeBron, and you still are 1-1 going into Game 3 tonight, and that is unheard of, folks. To lose 2 superstar players, and he's still out there battling and playing. So to all you that want to compare Jordan to James, there's no comparison. Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. LeBron James is LeBron James. It's two different entities altogether. What Michael Jordan did and what LeBron does are 2 different things. And I can't wait to see the game tonight. It tips at about 9 o'clock. So Smoking Jim will just be getting back to God's country by the time the national anthem's sung.
We don't know.
I know he has that heavy money on Golden State. I know that he's just waiting for LeBron to wear out, but they should be up 2-0 in this series, in my opinion. And I wasn't impressed with what I saw from Steph Curry. Supposed to be the MVP. Air ball in the clutch moments, got blocked.
Segment coming up, so we'll get a discussion about that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
But
have to touch on a couple.
Yeah, real quick. I urge everybody to come out to the Sokol Club on the South Side this Saturday night for the North Side versus South Side amateur boxing. I can't wait. Smoking Jim and Olivine are going to be doing the broadcast, which will free me up to do whatever shenanigans that I wish to do. So I always get excited when I have minimal responsibilities, as Al Levine knows. So
you're on camera. You better be there early. You lose all rights to entrance. You didn't know that technicality?
Nope. I'll be there, folks. I haven't missed a fight in the last 10 years, if you really want to know the truth. And the fighters will even tell you. I've made it to fights when the opponents didn't even make it.
He's the
and I got offered a couple fights, too, if you really want to know the truth, because guys didn't make it. So I look forward to a great night of amateur boxing on the South Side on Saturday night. And I'm rooting for the South Side because I come from the South. Or East, whatever compass Levine's using.
You know what? We're going to cover that on location a little bit, too. So... Are you done there, Z? Do you want to throw anything else in there that you might have thought of?
I was a huge fan of Johnny Majors. Like I said, I'm happy to Smoking Jim's back on the local bandwagon and held a pit. I don't know how long he's going to think Pitt is it
One
until
more
the
day.
first couple games where we get
No, one
steamrolled in the
One
ACC.
day.
But the
Whoever
talent
that
is definitely
sweetie is
there.
just left him.
I like what Narduzzi's doing over there in Oakland.
As soon as they lose to the Youngstown Patriots,
But can we all agree on this though? Can we all agree on this though? Like they're
On what?
in collegiate athletics. I'm just gonna single out college basketball and college football for what Pitt is. I'm pretty impressed. Could they do better? They probably, but I'm just impressed that, you know what, for that little university over there in Oakland, you know, they put up a fight in anything they come to play in, especially gymnastics.
All right. Let's pass
The
this up.
Houston Cougars will attest to that, right? The Houston Cougars will attest to that.
All right, well, we're going to move on a little bit. We're not revisiting anything, but we will talk NBA after On Location. No revisitation, because you revisited everything possible known to mankind on our show so far, and we don't do that, but that's C time. Thank you, Zach. On Location, we had one of our greatest guests who told some of the best stories that I've ever heard on air, let alone off air, which he was telling me. Roger Houston was a guest at Duke's Rib House and Grill. Shout out to him. Shout out to Dave Cable for having it edited, and I already posted it up all over, so it's up there and you can see the show. Smokin' Jim has a surprised look because he's always on Facebook, but he seems to miss Pittsburgh Sportsline while he's promoting Pittsburgh Sportsline. But that's another subject for another day. Because all I see is he's promoting us, but he doesn't know us. But thank you, my friend. But that's another story again. So anyhow, great night. We flipped around our desk due to Dave Cable so we could actually have our backs to the audience, which was strange. We'll discuss that later. You can put your opinion out there or whatever, but we have ours. But it was great having Roger on there telling stories, and he had about half of the show, which he didn't want to take it over, but just his stories from covering the Maulers and Pitt and football, basketball, even talking about when he was in high school.
Did he talk about the snowball game when Cliff Stout came in with the Birmingham
We talked off
Stallions?
air. We talked off air on that one because, yeah, and that's a classic. And so many things he's been involved with, not just the horse racing. I had only had memories of him saying and announcing the races, but he didn't get there till 1976. So there've been a couple years when I didn't hear him. But he's just fantastic with the catchphrases that he has. You have to watch the show. And be there, and you know, different things like that. People know that, and it was just great to have him on and, you know, tell his stories, even from Joe Hardy and Ed Ryan, you know, 84 Lumber and Ryan Holmes, who were the owners of the track at one time. So it's just great to have a history. He's been doing this over 50 years. He had 169,501 races under his belt as of last night. Well, now he's at 169,502 because there were races this afternoon. So that in itself is a record. I don't know how anybody will ever beat that. He does races at fairs, which we never got into. So we're going to have him back to tell you what he does at county fairs. Smokin' Jim found out that he actually is a driver because they're not jockeys, as Zach found out. And they actually...
Give credit to that to Roger. I said Levine corrects me all the time that they're drivers and not jockeys.
Good.
He was laughing.
Was he? Mm-hmm. Well, he knows.
And they drive Sulkies.
Exactly. That's part of it. And there's trotters and pacers. We'll get into this education later. But he will be back on the show. It's quite informative. He has Roger's rules, so if you don't bet, you want to have like a friendly discussion. He talks about different things with horses, even pick a name, drivers when they have a birthday, certain colors. So you can have fun at the racetrack, even if you can't handicap like Smokin' Jim. So he learned a bunch.
I think I got a better handicap record than Smokin' Jim right now.
He doesn't even handicap.
Well, then I'm better than him.
I didn't say that. I said even if you're like him, then you can still.
I want to take
bet
Smokin'
and
Jim
have
to the
fun.
horse track.
He's been there. He was already there. But it was a fun night. We had other guests like Sarna Coppoletti, I call her. So she was there. She'll actually help relax you, like Smokin' Jim's a big sports guy, and maybe when he's under pressure picking these teams, look, he knows to tap on his underneath his collarbone and clear his mind. So we had that. Then we had the Hall of Famer, Karen Hall, who we haven't actually seen her on our show for 2 years. So it was nice to have her. We had Rich Donnelly and the Southside boxing team, the Young Guns. I asked for first-round knockouts, no disrespect to the other fighters, but they all agreed that's what they're shooting for. So it should be quite a night. And, we'll be out there filming and broadcasting it. So thanks a lot to Rich Donnelly and his team out there. And there's supposed to be about 400 people. There will be a great crowd. There may be a few tickets left. Sokol Club is a nice club. Great setup there with even a balcony. You can watch fights and seating all around. So nice ring. So we'll be there. And that's our on location. We'll be back. There's no show next week on the 15th, but we will be back at Duke's Rib House and Grill on the 22nd. We'll also be doing our Jazz and Sports on the 18th. That's June 18th with Jessica Lee. And she'll do 2 hours of jazz and blues beforehand. And then we'll come in from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock. Come out to the Village Tavern and Trattoria, they call it. So we'll be
Trattoria?
there. No, it's Trattoria is the proper pronunciation, I found out.
That's
but,
the Yinzer pronunciation.
Yeah,
So we're pronouncing it like Pittsburghers and not...
Yeah, and proper way is different. It's right on South Main Street, 424 South Main Street. It's the old Temperanceville Tavern. There's like 3 different bars plus a patio. So come out. They got drink specials. The food's great. And you'll just enjoy meeting the owner, Ray Hannis, just a great guy. And one of their guys that does social media, Calvin Sales, very nice guy, and he helps promote it. And Palmer, we say hi to Palmer, the manager. He's always taking care of us. If Smoking Jim needs ginger ale and doesn't spill it, they do get him another glass.
I know, you have been on a spilling streak.
And that's our on-location report. We're going right to NBA. I have fond memories of talking to my dad during the playoffs about games and how they're refereed. My dad, up in heavens, looking down, saying, what are these referees looking at? For both teams. But there are some exceptions. I was telling Smoking Jim, who has heavy money on Golden State, and I told him the one foul on LeBron was so egregious that when you're going up for a shot and somebody brings your arm across you and hits both of your arms down, there was no foul. Now, I know he cries a lot, but there's a problem when that's at the last 30, 40 seconds of the game. So it does make us conspiracy guys wonder a little bit. And then some of the play, I've seen LeBron walk from half court all the way in, and there isn't anything. And I've seen other players. Now, Steph Curry, there's criticism with him just from Zach, but here's what I give him credit for. He could have just put his head down and given up. He made his last 3 or 4 shots with a couple misses there that brought him back in the game. A couple threes come back. They had a 6-1 run and ended up tying the game. So I've enjoyed the finals for the simple fact we've watched a lot of crazy stuff, but it's been exciting basketball with the comebacks. And you never know in overtime who's going to win. Historically, this is the first time in NBA history that you've had 2 overtime games in a row. And LeBron, as much as he scored, he's only the second leading scorer after 2 games with 83 points. So how about that? I forget who it was. I missed it on the screen and didn't research it. But somebody else has like 95 points in 2 games. Maybe Jerry West or somebody. I don't know.
There's only one thing that I take issue with here, and Zach, I don't mean to to pick on you here, but I know of your love of LeBron James and his athletic ability, and I get a little tired of hearing that he is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game, and that he is, better than Michael Jordan, he's better than this, better than that, and yet better than the other thing. Let me tell you something. LeBron James is the best basketball player in the NBA today. There is no question about that. Hands down, I give him his props. As far as being the greatest ever, I don't think that's a statement that can be made about any athlete until after their career is over and you see what their career accomplishments have been. If you want to compare, apples to apples, you look at Michael Jordan. He had an extended career. He made it to the finals 6 times. 6 times he walked away with the trophy. LeBron James, at this point in his career, is now in his 6th finals, and he's won 2 titles, lost 3. Now,
Come on. There's Phil Jackson. There's teams that you cannot compare what LeBron has had in all those finals to anything in Chicago.
But
come on, Smoke and Jim.
We're
not talking baseball.
But listen.
He swallowed the whistle. He's a referee.
Here's the thing. The arguments you have about how great LeBron James they're valid. I mean, every point that you're making is valid. As far as being the greatest ever, I don't think he's going to measure up. As a matter of fact, I actually think there's a player who will retire after next season that could probably be mentioned in the same breath as one of the greatest of all time, and he also wears the Lakers purple and gold, and that would be Kobe Bryant.
If I might interject, though, and you guys go back to the great days of the Celtics, even before Larry Bird, is there not a Celtic that has like 10 or 11 championship rings in Russell? Mm-hmm. Now, if we're going on who's the greatest of all time, I mean, I'm not hearing that.
Well, because Bill Russell was not a sexy ball player in the aspect that he was a great defensive ball player, and he was probably the greatest center that ever played in the NBA. You could argue all you want about Wilt Chamberlain or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, it's like. Which one's better? I think you could pick any one of them and build a team around to build a championship team. But it's as far as the greatest of all time, that remains to be seen. That's all. That's the only point that I'm trying to make.
Well, like I said, that'll be a conversation for another day. But tonight is Game 3 of the NBA Finals in Cleveland, and LeBron James is still playing. Kobe's hurt. Everybody else in the argument is retired or dead. And LeBron is still playing tonight, so you still get to watch greatness play tonight. I'm not saying that Cleveland's going to win the game tonight because it basically is a team game, though. And you'll see if you go back and watch a lot of those finals, there was contributions made. It wasn't all just Michael Jordan out there playing by himself. He was surrounded by, and he had one of the greatest coaches that will ever go down in the history of the game in Phil Jackson, the Wizard. So, I mean,
Well, Zach, you know that I'm for Cleveland winning. I predicted they'd win, whether it's with LeBron or not. But one of the things I got to give credit to is the defense that Cleveland is playing. Their players are playing out of their mind, except for J.R. Smith.
Well, you know what I got frustrated about in Game 2? Mozgov, the center for Cleveland, him and LeBron, they were playing extraordinary together. And somewhere in the fourth quarter, Mozgov was gone.
Well, they had the small team out there.
Mozgov was gone, and then it kind of like Golden State started to creep their way back into it, Levine. And my thing is, keep the big fella in there and don't take your foot off the throat. Show no mercy, no moss. We got a series to win.
Well, here's a little fact.
He speaks. He speaks. The Sphinx speaks.
I think we can all agree on this, that LeBron James, even though he's not retired, Chip, we can safely say that LeBron James is the greatest that ever played for 3 quarters.
Now, Smoking Jim, with all due respect, who in their right mind would say that?
Holy smokes.
Who is going to say that?
Holy smokes.
I was surprised, Smoking Jim, with how critical you are of other gentlemen that do play well. As soon as they miss like 2 shots at the end of each game, 1 shot of each game, I'm surprised you didn't bring that up. Because not that you're a hater, but for some reason, you like to chop a leg off of some of these superstars. And you know what? I'll admit LeBron did miss a shot at the end of the first game. And guess what? He did miss a shot at the end of the second game. And they won 1 of 2 games. Now, you've predicted in 5 that the series is over. Now you're talking if it goes longer, that now they're going to lose. Cleveland will lose if it goes longer. I'm confused. 5 games with Golden State, now 6 or 7.
One thing that Cleveland fans have been notorious for is counting their eggs before they hatch. Until you've won 4 games, you haven't won anything.
I don't think anybody in Cleveland's doing that. But I will say this also.
Have you met anybody from Cleveland?
I will say this. No. Cleveland's like Chernobyl.
Yeah, I have friends.
I don't set foot.
And I constantly
Cleveland.
quiet them by reminding them of the facts.
Well, it's like on this panel, and I'll say it again. It's my mantra. Never let the facts get in the way of your opinions when you want to argue about what you believe one week and you disbelieve the next week.
Well, I don't want to turn off any of our fans, but there is another playoff game going, and just because the Penguins are about to be sold, there's an NHL series that the Lightning won. The Lightning won Game 3 last night
in Chicago. In Chicago, they won in Chicago last night. Impressive win. Impressive win. And I have a feeling right now that series is going to go 7 games, and I still believe the Blackhawks will end up
And
victorious.
how funny is it, Chip, that they had talked about maybe making a goaltender switch in Tampa Bay land prior to the game last night, and Bishop played well.
It's always interesting to see.
It's a head game with goalies.
Definitely.
That's one of the things. That's one of the things that. Well, I guess because not as many people bet money on NHL hockey as they do NFL football. That's why they've got to make full disclosure of all the injuries so that people knows which way to put their money. In the NHL, they don't tell anybody. You can have a broken leg. You can have a leg amputated, and they're not going to say.
It's a lower.
No, they're going to say, "Oh no, he'll be back next. He'll be out for the 3rd period."
Well, I'll make a prediction in hockey. Next year, the winner of the NHL will be the Kansas City Penguins.
I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because
he's insane.
I think it's ironic that I heard reports a couple of months ago of a little bit of bad blood between Ron Burkle and Mario Lemieux, and lo and behold, it looks like Lemieux wants out, and they're looking to sell. And I think it's really, really ironic that they are touting all the positive aspects of the team right now because they're trying to get the most amount of money for it. And I think that the Penguins' value has already reached its apex, and it's going to be on its way down because you've got one of your major superstars who's mumbling and grumbling and talking about how he's not happy. I can tell you this right now, that the sold-out streak, or the home sellout streak, is going to end this season. And I don't really believe that the Penguins, going into this coming up season, are actually going to even be a favorite to win the Cup, which is probably the first time in 8 or 9 years. These are all just my opinions.
What gives you that observation, though? Because it's not like, they got people coming back, Pascal Dupuis coming back, Fleury's still in goal. I mean, unless Malkin gets traded away, I mean, what are you basing?
What am I basing that on is they're going to have a completely untested defensive team. They're going to be young. They're going to make mistakes. They don't have wingers for Crosby. They don't have wingers for Malkin, which is making them unhappy. They don't seem to, they improved in some aspects last year, and the fact of the matter is,
Letang will be back. Matter will be back. What do you mean the defense is going to be in such disarray?
They're not going to have Paul Martin. They're not going to have
That could be a positive.
They are up against the salary cap, and they're not going to be able to stock the team with the talent that they need. And the talent that's available right now on the free agent market isn't really setting the world on fire.
We're going to have this discussion the whole season coming up. I just want to end it, and then we're going to go close it out. But Lemieux obviously can make some money. Since they talk obviously in hockey, think about it. $500 million for the team. He's not selling it all. He's going to keep a piece. And same with Burkle. He's a billionaire. Whatever riff they have, it doesn't matter. We just had the control room dynamic duo, Devin and Matt. They said they're only selling some of it. So that's what's going on.
We'll see.
And they're promoting up the value of it, which makes sense. And that's how it is. Hockey's done it before. Mm-hmm. Look, Lemieux would have lost, $40, $50 million if he didn't buy the team.
And it was a great run, and I think the Magnificent won, the greatest hockey player of all time, number 66.
No doubt, but hey, we gotta end this show. I gotta do one more promotion.
Not the greatest.
Wednesday night, you're gonna see Johnny Angel with Jessica Lee at the Rivers Club. You guys got to come up. It's only an $8 buffet between 5:30 and 8, and it's gourmet chefs. Johnny Angel, Jack Hunt is gonna bring. Can you get a close-up? This is his Ginchy story. He has memorabilia from sports, music, and everything else. He's going to bring some things up there that are classics. One of his best friends was James Brown. I saw some of the signed stuff he has from James Brown. If you want to see some great memorabilia, come up to the Rivers Club. You'll hear great music, great atmosphere, great food, great price. So come on up. Thanks, everybody, for watching the show. Thanks, Chip. Thanks, Smoking Jim. Thanks, Zach. Be safe. Stay Joey strong.